Eons ago, before most of you were even born, there existed a place that could only be described as the most magical place on Earth. You thought it was Disney World? Well, that's impossible because Disney World's in Florida. No, the place I'm talking about is Funcoland. The first thing you saw when you entered a Funcoland was wall-to-wall video games. I don't mean empty used game cases either. They had that too, but in addition to that, each wall had multiple consoles set up for people to play random games that were on display. This one time, right, I went into Funcoland, and the second I opened the door, my eyes landed on a 19-inch CRT that was playing Psychic Force 2012. I had played fighting games in the arcades before, Mortal Kombat, Tekken, MVC. This wasn't anything like that. The characters in Psychic Force didn't walk on the ground like rinky-dink pedestrians. They flew. They danced through the air like two birds locked in a deadly psychokinetic mating ritual. So I fire the game up. All the characters look dumb as hell except the generic default dude, so I pick him. Might. Stupid name, but whatever. The first couple matches, I don't know what I'm doing, so I just mash buttons. By the third match, though, I keep mashing buttons. Hey, if it ain't broke, right? My opponent this time around is this annoying-looking schoolgirl. Unfortunately for her, I have never not believed in gender equality, so I'm not gonna mash buttons any differently compared to the last two dudes I demolished. Let me tell you something. I whooped her ass. Oh, I caved it in. After the first round, those butt cheeks looked like two miniature satellite dishes. They had to phone home and report.
We are inverted. I repeat, we are inverted.
By the end of the second round, I had her backed up against the wall, right? Then I whipped out some nasty combos like brakakow. Next thing I know, I hit this girl so hard that she broke through the walls of the stage and disappeared over the horizon. Man, I thought I was the baddest dude in the universe. I had just punched somebody into orbit with my mind, and I was gonna revel in every single second of this victory pose. Aw, yeah. Wait, she was, but I didn't. Oh gods, what have I done? That generic anime dude I was playing as? Something tells me he would have preferred to not have mollywopped his friend into space. But he didn't even have a say in the matter. I was the one in control. Except I was anything but in control. Until that moment, I had gone into every fight like a mindless, bloodthirsty monster, cause that's what I thought the game wanted from me. But what about what generic anime dude wanted? If I had known about his relationship to that annoying girl beforehand, maybe I could have pulled my punches. Maybe I could have been more true to his character, and then maybe she'd still be alive right now. On the other hand, if I had shown mercy during the fight, this story that I'm telling you right now wouldn't exist. Video games are the best way to tell a story. I think we can all agree on that. But that fated day in Funcoland made me realize that the best kinds of games to tell a story are fighting games. I had no idea what Psychic Force was about. Actually, I still don't. But in the few matches that I played, I had been telling myself a story that was completely separate from the game's actual narrative. To me, Psychic Force was about this amazing psychic fighter, but he blacked out whenever he used his powers because his abilities actually came from being possessed by a demonic force. Lots of fighting games have plot devices like that. Ryu from Street Fighter has the Satsui no Hado, Kazuya and Jin from Tekken have the Devil Gene, but in this case, the twist was that the demonic force was actually an alien from another dimension. Me. And once I knew that this generic anime dude's entire life was in my hands, I was reminded of the greatest lesson in the history of storytelling. With great power, there must also come... That's what video games allow us to do. They give us the ability to tell our own stories. No cutscenes, no reading, none of that. You're an active participant in all the important aspects of the story, forming the narrative as you go using the game's mechanics. Back in the day, fighting games didn't give you a lot of information about their characters. If you were playing in the arcades, you might get a cool montage to introduce everybody, but that was it. If you had the console release and you were lucky enough to have the manual, you might get a short bio, maybe their blood type and their favorite food, but in general, you didn't have a lot to go on when it came to the story. The beauty of it, though, was that since the game didn't give you any information up front, it taught you how to identify other forms of storytelling. Things like the way the characters dress and accessorize, how they move, all the little details that clue you in about their personalities, which gives you an idea of what might motivate them to fight, which in turn helps you empathize and project your own personality onto that avatar. But that's some high-level stuff, and humans will go out of their way to avoid getting better at something. Thankfully, for those who don't want to improve their level of video game literacy, modern fighting games have no shortage of passive narrative content, usually in the form of fully voice-acted single-player modes. To me, that's the storytelling equivalent of Street Fighter's modern control scheme. It's diapers and training wheels. For your mind. Just look at the single-player campaigns that NetherRealm puts out. They're more like movies that are interrupted every so often by short bits of interactivity. To be fair, I like NetherRealm single-player campaigns, the same way I enjoy the occasional Royale with cheese. And that's the thing. Telling a story with cutscenes is just like taking your date to Mickey D's. You might get a happy meal, but you sure as hell ain't getting a happy ending. See what I did there? We're talking about storytelling, happy ending. Yeah? Get it? NetherRealm single-player campaigns completely miss the mark when it comes to storytelling in fighting games, but ironically, their arcade modes have some of the best storytelling ever. When two characters step into the ring and you know that they have history, it gives you context for the battle. And when you have context, everything that happens during the fight is instant drama for your mama. That's why the stuff NetherRealm does with their pre-fight dialogue is so impressive. Before a fight begins, the interaction between characters is completely unique to that matchup, and in a few snappy one-liners, the characters establish how they know each other and why they're fighting. They also tell you whether the fight's just a friendly sparring match or if the two hate each other's guts. In Mortal Kombat 11 and Injustice 2, before the fighters square up, character A says something, character B responds to that, then character A gets the last word. Unfortunately, 90% of the time, one of those lines is completely unnecessary. But in Mortal Kombat 1, the pre-fight dialogue is excellent. 2 lines, 1 per character. That's it. That's Act 1. Acts 2 and 3 of the story are told through gameplay, then the final act is the victory pose. That's all you need to turn a fighting game into the perfect hybrid of passive and interactive storytelling. But that's not even the most important reason why fighting games are the best way to tell a story. This is why. Up until this point, I've been talking about the lore and backstory of the games themselves, but I haven't said anything about the stories that fighting games create outside the game. The clip you just saw of Moment 37 from EVO 2004 has been described as the most iconic moment in the history of competitive video games. At least, that's what it says on its Wikipedia page. And I want you to think about that, because how many esports moments are there that have their own Wikipedia page? No, not a subsection of a page for something else. I mean an entire page dedicated to just that moment. Anything with a high skill ceiling that's done at a competitive level naturally creates amazing stories. Look at how many inspirational movies there are about football. Now we got a movie about a kid who became a professional race car driver after playing Gran Turismo. Did you know that there's an international championship tournament for jigsaw puzzles? Well, there is. Competition automatically creates conflict, and conflict is the driving force behind any story. So anytime you have a competition, you instantly have a great story waiting to happen. But things get taken to the next level when one of the competitors is at a disadvantage. The best stories are about underdogs who come out on top despite all odds. Even though Daigo and Justin Wong were at similar skill levels that day, Moment 37 was still a David and Goliath kind of situation. Daigo had a single pixel of life left. Any hit that dealt chip damage would have ended the fight. Everybody and their mother knew for a fact that Daigo didn't stand a chance in hell. But then he pulled off a maneuver that nobody thought was possible, creating a legend that no one's been able to top for over 2 decades. That's the magic of fighting games. The storytelling works on multiple levels. You have the story of the games on one level, and then you have the story that takes place in the real world. Just like those few matches of Psychic Force I played in Funcoland all those years ago, the players become the characters they play as. In the eyes of the spectators, they're digital gladiators, and their skills bring the fictional world of the game to life. I play a lot of fighting games, but I play for the characters and the lore, so you won't catch me alive playing online. No, I do not want that smoke. But playing these games at the scrub level like I do makes me appreciate what those guys do at EVO a hell of a lot more. Interestingly enough though, fighting games are still tiny in the grand scheme of things. EVO's the biggest fighting game event in the world, but the winner of the Street Fighter 6 tournament only gets $20,000. Meanwhile, the biggest Dota 2 and League of Legends competitions have players battling it out for millions. Since the stakes are that much higher, doesn't that mean that MOBAs are the best ways to tell a story and not fighting games? Well, the answer should be yes, but I kinda played a trick on you. Because as luck would have it, there's actually no such thing as fighting games.
Don't lie to me.
Anyway, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to be a badass, click the notification bell, then go into your settings and turn notifications off. That way, every time we upload a video, you'll parry the notification like Daigo.